And
That's
welcome,
good.
everyone. So glad that so many of you could join us today. And I'm with the lovely Nicole Fuller, who has her own Nicole Fuller Interiors design company that she started about 10 years ago. And she has a long history at the rug company and collaborates on rugs with us, which we'll go into a little bit more. But we're here today to talk about the custom process and demystifying it, and making it is pretty easy. And Nicole can give some practical examples of that. But over to you, Nicole, to introduce yourself and just share a little bit about who you are.
Hi, James. Well, thank you so much, and thank you for having me. And hello, everyone. It's really exciting to be here and to be talking about customization and demystifying customization of rugs, because it's actually so much fun. Myself and my studio do it on a daily basis, and for us, Rug Company has made it so easy and exciting. And we love custom because we feel that every client, each interior is very unique to the client, and we don't sort of repeat what we do over and over again. We really focus on who the client is and bring their heartbeat into the space. And whether it's a residential space or a commercial space or a hotel or a restaurant, whatever it is, you really sort of want to bring the client into the home, and being able to customize rugs and different objects in the space and curate the art is really what brings it all together and gives you that very, very unique custom interior.
And we'll show some of your projects. Yes, we'll show some of those beautiful projects in a little bit. And I think maybe we can just start with just talking about the whole custom process, because I think it's relatively easy at the rug company, and we'll go through those steps about how we do it. You can create anything from scratch, as we just said. Even the painting behind you could be done into a rug.
Yeah.
We have an amazing library of patterns that can be done in different sizes, shapes, colors, and we'll go through that in a minute. But there's so many things, I guess, in an interior that you could customize. Where do you start? Like, how do you, as a designer, how do you sort of know what you want to customize in a room and in a project? Where do you begin?
I think, it really depends on the bones of the space, first and foremost. I think, if you're working with an older bones, the rooms are, laid out in a way where, sometimes they're a little tricky. So you may want to customize the shape of a rug. You may want to do a round rug or an octagonal rug, or, in some of our more traditional interiors, we've been scalloping the edges of your rugs. There's so many different fun things that we can do with just the shape of the rug to start. And custom to me comes with second nature. So I don't know if I think of any one thing particularly being custom or not. I think of the space as a whole, and as we're designing it, if we find something that we love, we find a home for it. But really, generally, the entire space is sort of customized in a way. So a lot of what we do is custom. A lot of the furniture, a lot of the millwork, the rugs for sure, as you know, the lighting, a lot of the lighting. And then, we also buy a lot of vintage and antiques and layer and mix in. And I think that's what really sort of gives the layers and the heartbeat of the home. So I don't ever start with any one thing in particular, although I will say I like rugs to be in the forefront, because if we are buying rugs, they're all handmade, and it's a labor of love, and there's a lead time, and I think it's important to sort of start that process early on. So I'd say rugs, are definitely one of the first things that we start with, but it's really the interiors as a whole. It's how we present it to our clients.
It's of course, the first thing I do when I walk into a room is look at the floor.
Yeah.
And so I'm sort of biased by wanting to see the floor. But I guess, in terms of the context, sometimes you want a statement rug, and sometimes maybe you want something maybe the art's a statement in the room, or as you said, it could be the architecture of the room that could be the statement as well too. So I guess it's a balance, isn't it?
Yeah, it's definitely a balance, and I think it's so much fun to have. There's definitely. I always say you have to think of it as a great film. You have your leading actors, and then you have your supporting actors, and that's sort of how I think of a space. You can't have a film of 20 leading actors. It won't work, right? So You need to have your statement pieces. You need to have your leading actor roles, whether it be the statement rug or the statement sofa and the eaves climb blue that pops the color out of the rug and then ties back in with the art, or vice versa. Maybe a statement drapes with a more neutral rug and a colorful piece of art. So it's all about balance. It really is all about balance. But there's really no rules also. I always say this. There's really, for me, I'm not classically trained as an interior designer. It's very organic for me and it's very instinctual. I was raised by an artist. My mother's an artist. My husband's an artist. I grew up in the art world in New York. So, it's more of a European way of thinking. There's really no rules. It's about collecting beautiful objects and beautiful fabrics and beautiful textures and art and textiles and rugs and putting it all together in a way that it sings to you. So it's not like you put it all in a box and pick option 2. It's really a beautiful organic process, and it's that dance between myself and the client, which makes it really exciting for both of us.
Sounds like the start of a great Broadway musical.
Yeah, when Broadway reopens, James. I can't sing, but I can dance.
I'll do the singing.
Okay, I'll dance.
How was it? Because we're so used to, and I know you love to travel like I do, and we love to be inspired by different surroundings. How has it been during these COVID times for you as a designer to look at sources of inspiration? What have you turned to different ways to look for inspiration for your projects?
I've really gone back to basics. I've really gone back to going inside my home and inside my library and inside my books and my archive magazines that I've saved, whether they're fashion magazines or interior magazines, and I've gone there to sort of look for inspiration, whereas pre-COVID it was a lot of traveling and seeing the world in different places, and you'd pull inspiration from there, or museums or galleries. And because we haven't really been able to do so much of that, I think it's been about surrounding myself with creatives that have inspired me, and we sort of talk it through and collaborate and bounce off each other, which I always love. It's, for me, I feel like being around creatives is like being in a band, and like musicians get together and they jam, and you come out of that jam session just feeling really, really inspired and really excited. And, I love collaborating. I love collaborating with you guys. I mean, I think collaborations are inspiring for both people, or can be. And so I think being around creatives and keeping our little social distance circles. But for me, it's been back to basics in my own libraries and really being around, friends that inspire me and people that inspire me, and finding organic forms in nature around us. I know we talked about this, but, when we were locked down early March, I was in Millbrook upstate, and I don't think since I was a kid have I ever watched, literally sat in one room and watched winter come and go and spring bud and bloom and blossom around me. And I think that for me was very, very inspiring on so many different levels, sort of just kind of taking a quiet moment and thinking about it all and being inspired by the organic forms in nature as well.
Yeah, it was an amazing time to see spring unfold in front of us on a daily basis. It was really, really nice to see.
Yeah.
And then I guess we're going to look at some of your beautiful designs and some of your custom designs that you've done with the rug company. And so should we start to look at those, and maybe you can share us a little bit about the inspiration, some of the design process that you went through with us. So
sure.
Here we go. Here's the first one.
Oh, yes. So this project, has a little bit of color. I love color, and I also, it's so funny. I feel I'm very confident with color, but I also love neutrals. But in this particular case, it's a balance, again, as you see. There's really strong colors, but it's balanced by the neutrals, and there's lots of texture in this image. And in this particular image, the rug, I customized with you at the rug company. And this, I pulled the colors, so there's 3 rooms that sort of line up together. There's the center living room, this happens to be the drawing room, and then the dining room flanks the other side. And I pulled the colors out of the Palm by Allegra Hicks, and I played around with these colors in this living room, and I put borders on the rugs on the other two adjoining rooms. So behind those doors is the room that we were just seeing, which is the drawing room. So I pulled the colors out of this rug and created these really beautiful high pile silk borders on the wool ground rugs. And I balanced the neutral color in the center with the pop of, you know, the sort of grayish taupey color on the edges. So all three rooms really have this beautiful thread and speak to one another. And there's color that kind of bounces throughout, and you know, the green comes back in with the you know, the leaves, with the green poof on the other side, and the rust colors here are more earthy and calming. But you know, it's a pop, and it's fun. And again, here's the rug with the neutral and the band of the silk border. And the border just has like a slight pile, which is just stunning in person. I mean, you can see it in the photograph, but in person, the silk and the wool combination with the bit of a raised pile is so chic and so just simple and elegant. I love how this all turned out.
And we love, I know people think of the rug company as, you know, bold pattern, but we love texture as well too. And the ability to play with different materials and textures and pile heights is a great way. If you don't want a very loud rug in the room, it's a great way to have something that is very special and feels amazing as well, isn't it?
Yeah, well, and I have to say, in our new collection that we're launching in fall, I was amazed, which you'll all see when we launch, but I was amazed at how you can even gradiate the pile. So you can start with a low pile and sort of, if you think of an ombre, you almost ombre the pile height from low to higher. And it creates the most incredible texture. It almost looks like waves in an ocean or wind blowing in a field. I mean, it is so unbelievably exquisite. What you know, you guys honestly continue to amaze me. Every time I come in to design a new collection, I'm blown away by all the new options and the techniques that, you know, you continue to improve on. And it's available to us on a daily basis for any rug, for any custom rug. And you know, really playing around with just pile heights, like you said, and even sprinkling some silk. What do you call it, James? When you, I forget, your team said it so well, but it's not so definitive. This is wool, this is silk. It's sort of like sprinkling the silk throughout the rug. So you get these little pops of these like highlights of texture. And it's a great way to sort of keep it on a nice price point for maybe a kid's room or a playroom or, you know, a high traffic area where you don't want all silk, but I forget what it's called, but it is.
Well, definitely twisting wool and silk together makes a wonderful effect as well too. So twining those materials together, I think is a great look. And then
yeah,
we have, you know, our rug spotlight, which is David Rockwell's design, which starts all wool and then it goes into blend into the center, and then the spotlight in the very middle is 100% silk, and that's a great dégradé look, isn't it?
Yeah, I love that. Oh, there it is. Yeah, I was just gonna say I used it in a project in Tribeca in an entryway, and it's so exquisite. I love the spotlight. I mean, look at that. I mean, that's just it's so simple, but it's stunning, you know. And I've never seen it used in a hallway like this. And I when I presented it to my client, it looks so great. It's beautiful, really, really beautiful. The texture is everything.
And before we talk a little bit more about the custom process, are there a couple more that we want to show, Emma? Do we have a couple more projects? Maybe the climbing leopard one, that's always a fun one to show.
Oh yeah, I love that climbing leopard. Honestly, I could put that climbing leopard everywhere.
I have it going up my stairs in my hallway, so I'm excited to have that installed.
Oh, it's just so fun. Yeah, there it is. So the climbing leopard, so this is such a great example of how to have some fun with customization. So we originally put the room together, and then we rendered in this rug with your team, James. And I wanted the leopards to feel like they were kind of like circling the bed. And we played around with a couple of different ways, but they're climbing around the bed, and there's another one on the other side. And just the way they're angled in the space, I mean, it just came out so it's perfect. And it's magenta. You know, we had this, we picked a shade in my client's wardrobe that she loved, and we matched it to this magenta color. And it's just, it's perfect match, and it's a perfect color. And I love these leopards. We've done it in a few projects, as you know, and we've done them on rugs, and we've done them in circles, and we've done them on stair towers. I think there's another baby pink one, Emma, that this is like a super sneak peek, because we did this one for Casper, who's a dear friend and a client, and this one climbs up her stair tower, and it's all silk, and it's baby pink, as you can see, with the black and white pop, and it is just really, really cool.
Amazing.
I love it.
Background.
Yeah.
Well, let's look at the let's go ahead and look at the custom rug designer that we've just launched. We want to make it as easy as possible for designers to be able to go online and create with our patterns. Of course, we have our bespoke if you want to create something entirely bespoke, but we have literally hundreds of designs on the library that we can customize. And I think it's going to be a really great tool for you guys to use as we look at how do we make things more accessible online. I mean, you can change the size, you can change the colors. It'll give you your price instantly on the screen. And I think it'll just be a great tool, hopefully, that all the designers can use. So we've launched that this week, and we'll just take a couple minutes just to show. I think Nicole is going to take her Farah, and there it is. There's the gorgeous Farah that Nicole did several years ago. And maybe you can see on your screen how you can select the color first, and then you select the size. You can print a tear sheet. You have your pricing there. And we just thought it'd be fun if Nicole just plays around a little bit with picking a few custom options of Farah.
I have to say, I just love this, James. This is so innovative. And this, you know, even for myself and my team, this just makes it so easy. You know, you have one of the best art departments to work with anyway, but if you're, you know, late at night and just, you know, having a glass of wine and looking online, I mean, this is so much fun. I mean, anyone can do this. This is so, it's great. Okay, Emma, let's do it. Let's do some fun colors. What about, try that Farah Ruby with like a really, because one of my favorite combinations is like pale blue with this oxblood color. So maybe try that ruby the way it is with like a pale blue background. Yeah, I mean, yeah, like something like that. I mean, that's so, yeah, like so pretty.
Gorgeous. And it has your palm reference numbers there too. So someone had asked one of the questions about the palm colors. And so, yeah, so we could send you those palm colors so you can see them more exactly, because I'm sure that's an important thing. But definitely that palm reference is there in case some designers have their own palm box as well too. You can get the exact color match.
Yeah, we do. We love our palm box. Okay, let's try it with neutrals. What about if we try, you know, like a beautiful, like reversing the Farah gray. What if we reverse the Farah gray and we just do the neutral colors?
Sort of like a tonal.
Yeah, like how pretty is that? Like that, oh God, like charcoal with the pale gray background. I mean, that is beautiful. I mean, how much fun is that? And what's so great,
the wool and the silk, even if it's very close color, the silk will definitely pop, even if it's very tonal.
Yeah, I love this. Like with the pale gray background and a little bit more of the charcoal gray and the Farah, and like you said, I mean, even that, I mean, it's like you can go tonal. I've done this rug so many times, tone on tone. I've actually done it for my house in Millbrook, tone on tone, teal, silk on silk, and you've seen the sample. It's so exquisite. I mean, it's more subtle, the pattern, so you can sort of play with the pattern and punch up the pattern, or you can quiet the pattern down depending on the colors you do. I also love it. I love it in that emerald green there with the cream background. I mean, that is just gorgeous. That's amazing. And then the navy with the oh my God. Let's try it in citron. Like citron and cream. Thanks, Emma. You're really fast. I don't know if I'd be this fast, Emma.
That's amazing. And then, of course, you can change the size as well, too. So you could make it into a runner. You could make it into a square. You could,
yeah.
lots of different possibilities. So
Yeah.
yeah, hopefully it'll be a great tool you guys can use and make it, fun and also easy as well.
I
To
love
do
it.
custom rugs.
That's
So
so
yeah.
great. It's amazing. I mean, the website is so user friendly. I think that's so important as well, especially with customization, because we work a lot of times late, very late where, even LA is closed and there's no one to call. There's no SOS line to call. London's not open yet. And
You can always call me. There's an emergency.
I know. I'll text you in the middle of the night. James, I need this color combination.
Anyway, well, why don't we have a lot of questions. People send in a lot of questions, which is great.
Right.
So why don't we pick some questions so we don't run out of time with some of the things people wanted to know. So,
Sure.
so a couple of people actually asked about lighting in the room with a rug, and when you're customizing a rug, what factors? I'm sitting in a very bright space right now. You are too. What sort of factors do you take into customization with colors and materials when it's a darker light room?
I think if it's a darker room, it's nice to have a little bit of silk or a little bit more silk, because silk happens to capture light and bounce light around the space. So it creates sort of, depth of perception in the space. And I think in a lighter room, you can stick to something that's a little less silk or more wool or lighter color. It just sort of depends. Like if you have a really strong color in a bright room, it's going to be very, very strong. But if you have a stronger color in a muted room, it's sort of more calming. So I think light does play a big factor. But I also think, when you're customizing the rugs, we get strike-offs. I think that for me, there's a process of customization, which I think is very, very important. And for us also, we like to show our clients every step of the way to make sure that they love every step of the way, so there's no surprises. Because it's very different when you're seeing a rug in a small, little image like that, and then you see it in a 9x12 or a 10x14 or whatever. So we love your strike-offs. We never, ever waive the strike-offs, as you know. And strike-offs, for those of you who don't know, are sort of like 2x2 rug samples of your actual rug, your actual color, your actual texture layout, whether it's all silk, wool, 30, whatever. So I think when you take that sample and bring it in the space as well and play around with it with light, we always do that. We always take the strike off to site and make sure that the light, everything's sort of balancing itself the right way. And if at that point we feel like we want to punch up the color because the room's very bright and the color's getting washed out, then we have that moment to punch up the color and do another strike off to make sure that when that rug comes, it's perfection, because if you have a really bright room that's sunny, 6-7 hours a day, it could wash these colors out, so you want to maybe punch things up or dull things down in a darker room and play around with the texture.
And I guess that's helpful, so there's no surprises for the client as well, because someone had asked, have you ever had a client who walked in and went, oh no? So I'm sure.
You know what? No, I haven't, thank God.
The strike-off helps that with that, right? So you know what you're getting, basically.
Yes, I've lived and I've learned, and we love our clients to sign off on everything. I think it's very important. We have clients that just say, no, I love what you do, just go, and that's fine. But I do like our clients to see the strike-offs and see everything and make sure they sign off on it, because I think it's very different on a piece of paper than it is when you actually see the color in a room. And we've never had a client say, oh no, I don't like that rug, thank goodness. Because I am so OCD and take the first 50 steps to make sure that never happens, because you're waiting so long. It's a piece of art. These rugs are a piece of art, and you're waiting, 10, 14, 15, 16 weeks for this incredible piece of art that someone's hand looming, that when it comes, all I want is for my client to be over the moon. So we always take all the steps leading up to that point to make sure that there's no surprises. Only happy surprises. Only happy surprises.
I think it's also great that they can feel it as well too, because someone else had talked about what makes a great rug, and of course, you know, the materials and the beautiful Tibetan wool that we use that has that great lanolin in it that protects it from even spills, or the beautiful cool Chinese silk. And so sourcing those amazing materials, I hope the clients appreciate how they feel underfoot, especially in the bedroom when you're first waking up and you're like, wow, this feels amazing to step onto in the morning.
Yeah, they do. I really do promote that with my clients. I always say, no, take your shoes off and feel how this feels. You know, this, like, especially if it's a rug for the bedroom, like, you know, this is how you're going to feel when you first wake up and you go to bed. I mean, it's really important. This is the last thing you feel at the night and the first thing you feel in the morning on your feet. And it's very grounding, and, you know, you want it to just feel luxurious and heavenly. So I always promote, even in the showroom, I always say, clients, take off your shoes, like, feel the rug, you know, and really sort of, you know, dive into it and make sure it's exactly what you want, because it can be everything you want and more. So, yeah.
And as you know, because we've started working on a couple of projects with you on our new contract line, where we because the rug company historically has been mostly residential, but now we're doing a lot more contract projects with hand tufted rugs. How, in any observations about how it is to work with a hotel project as opposed to residential in the customization process?
Honestly, I have to say, you know, as you know, we're doing a couple of hotels together now. One is the Bryant Park Hotel, and, you know, I'm so, you know, I don't know how to say this without saying, you know, you guys are such great partners, honestly. You know, you're so, I just know that your team, you know, your creative team, the craziest thought I can ever come up with, they never ever they never ever poo-poo me. They never ever roll their eyes at me. They're always excited. They're always, you know, into it. And then they bring their skills of their history of what they have into the design as well. And you know, the whole process with the Bryant Park Hotel, which is our first hotel project together, has been nothing but perfection, you know, honestly. And you know, I've, again, like, turned things around quickly with my client, and you guys have been right there. I think, you know, it's great to be able to have a one-stop shop for us, because I know the product. You know, I love new vendors, and I love, you know, sourcing new products. But, you know, it's also, there's something to be said about having your tried and trusted vendor, especially when it comes to rug. It's an expensive investment, and I know that you as a company, and you guys always do beautiful work, and you stand behind the work, you know. So for me to dive into a hotel project where we're doing the entire building, 100 and however many rooms, I already have the confidence knowing that whatever we do together, and even though this is a new venture for you going into commercial, that it's going to be the best of the best. And so far it has been. I mean, it really, there hasn't been much of a difference from the commercial. You know, you're so hands-on, you know, everyone's so available, and all my thoughts and designs, you know, I send in, and it comes back either exactly the way I envisioned it or even better, you know. So it's an exciting, again, like, collaborative process. And just, you know, you only hired, like, incredibly skilled artists, and I feel the same way about my team. So together we create a product that super exceeds all else. So it's really been great working with you on the commercial projects.
Well, thank you very much for saying that. That's great, and hopefully we won't let you down. We'll do our best.
Don't let me down. FYI, that's like a little.
The pressure's up now.
The pressure's on, by the way.
Okay, let's see about some other questions that people have. How do you rugs in small spaces? Because obviously we have rugs for every room in the house, but how do you look at a rug in a small space? How do you layer rugs in small spaces? How do you maximize what sort of design can go into a smaller space?
I love, you know, depending on the space, like in my home office here, I have a round Farrah gray, and I love round rugs in small spaces, you know, depending on the space. I mean, it tends to lean a bit more feminine around rug, but, you know, if it's an odd space and, you know, you can't fit, you know, both your nightstands on the bed, or if you only have one nightstand, or if you only have one side table, and it's just not laying out the right way with a rectangle, I think a round breaks all those lines. And again, it sort of brings back into what I was saying. There's no rules, you know, so you have this beautiful, almost think of it as like a piece of art or a tapestry on the floor. And it's this round shape. It breaks all the other lines in the room and it takes your eye away from the fact that maybe the space is a little bit smaller. You know, it creates a dynamic environment. So I love playing around with shapes in smaller rooms. And then also, I happen to love, you know, whether it's a closet, a dressing room, a master bedroom, if it's a smaller space, I love, you know, depending on what the floor is underneath, if you do layers, you know, if you did a wall to wall and then layered another rug on top of it, also creates dimension, you know, and space. And especially in like a dressing room, I think that's a lot of fun to do, because you're mainly in your dressing room without shoes and you want it to feel super luxe and cozy. But yeah, I mean, I think that the fact that you now are doing all these round rugs custom, I think that's, I mean, I've been doing round rugs for a long time because I think it's a nice way to sort of break up the space, especially in a small space.
We're seeing a lot more requests for closets. I think as people probably are being more at home, they're spending
Yeah.
more time in their closets and their office. And so, yeah, so it's fun to see some of the great designs that designers have put forward for custom rugs and closet spaces. That's a great thing to have.
And that's an area, you know, for me is like, I always tell, you know, my clients, if the home is neutral, because they're not so committed to color, maybe the colors in the art, like there's areas like the closet, you know, the dressing room and the closet where we can really have a lot of fun and play around with pattern and shape and color and, you know, create a little jewel box. So yeah, sometimes I think small spaces, although in the beginning are challenging, it really pushes you to design something even more creative than you may have in the beginning, you know. So I love small spaces. I think it's great.
And we touched on this a little bit, but when this comes up a lot when I talk to designers, because everyone, as you were just saying, is different. But the consideration for the rug, where does that normally come into the process for you as a designer? Is that one of the first things? A lot of designers say, "Oh, I start with the rug, or I wait," and then because we have stock rugs, then they'll come in the last minute and buy a beautiful stock rug as well. But as you as a designer, what do you think about that?
I'm not. I only. I like custom. I like to customize everything for our clients. You know, if I can, if I have the opportunity with our timeline, I prefer to customize the space and make it 100% bespoke and unique to that client. So I'm not the girl that thinks about the rug at the end. You know, we do buy a lot of your in-stock rugs because we have a lot of clients that say, "Oh, hey, by the way, I just bought a Hamptons house and we're moving in 2 months and we need everything done." And that's when I think the custom program, the in-stock program is so incredible. And, you know, the sky's the limit. There are a lot of our developer clients, when we design the buildings with them and do the models, you know, the in-stock program is fantastic. But generally speaking, for our residential clients, I like to customize the space for our client and make it feel very special to them. So the rug is in the beginning. You know, we don't present piecemeal. Like, we design the entire space, generally the entire house, which sometimes has to go in phases because the house is so large. But it's always the rendering, which is everything in the room. So it's floors, walls, lighting, any architectural details, fabrics, furniture, art. It's the whole picture, you know. So the rug comes with all of that. So for me, the rug with everything else is in the beginning. And I think it's important because the rug is one of the biggest pieces in the space. It really defines a lot of the area. So I think for me personally, I have to start with the rug and all my other pieces along with it. And listen, I may start with a piece of art. A client may say, you know, I bought this piece of art and I'm obsessed with it. All I know is I want to put it in the dining room and let's go from there. And then from that piece of art, I'll pull a color out of the art and then come to you guys and say, let's customize Farah. Let's customize a totally bespoke design and do something really special. Let's take the shapes out of the art and play around with it in a rug, you know, so they speak to one another, but in a different scale. And for me, like, it's it's such a big part of the project. I mean, your rug is a good portion of the space, so it's in the beginning for me for sure.
And so the fact that we have a 4 to 5 month lead time for the hand knotted rugs made in Nepal, that's not a problem, I guess. If you're starting in the beginning, you'll still have time for the strike offs, and your projects are longer lead time than that anyway, I guess, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's why also I like to point that out in the beginning, because I really push for the rugs to be ordered in the very beginning, because I know what happens at the end as things start coming in, and you're about to order a rug, and let's say the project has about 10 weeks left and there's 16 weeks for the rug. People don't love to wait, but that's why I really try to, for me now at this point, I know a lot of the timelines, so it's about putting them all together, and I know my rugs come at this time, maybe with my sofas and my lighting, so that all has to be ordered at once, wallpaper, so I sort of know our timelines with all the pieces, but it's not a problem. Our clients really want something special and something unique, and I'm, again, just very transparent. The rugs have a long lead time. We really need to order those in the beginning, because we don't want to be waiting for them, and they're fine with it. They know at the very end they're going to get something that nobody else has, and that's super, super special and unique. So yeah, that's not a problem.
That's great. Good. Well, I think we've just about run out of time. I
Oh.
want to say thank you so much for joining me today. I had a great time talking to you, and I learned a lot. So thank you very much.
Oh, you're amazing. Thank you.
We can't wait to see your new collection in the autumn, and look forward to doing a lot more exciting things together. So we'll send out a recap of some of the other questions and answers that we didn't have time to get to today. So everyone can have a look at some of those as well too. And thank you all for attending. I'm sorry we can't take live questions. That's always fun to do too. But
it's so much fun, yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure technology will evolve as we get into this more. So thank you, Nicole, for spending time with us.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank
Okay.
you, James. Thank you, everyone who logged on. This was so much fun. And as always, it's a blast. And yeah, it's been great.
Great. Okay. Bye-bye. Bye for
soon.
now.
Bye for now.
Take care.